Hello everyone and everything, and welcome back to more Hollow Knight. In the last episode, we showed Millabelle what for, and cleaned her out of all the money that she probably absconded away with from innocent bugs like myself. In this episode, we're going to head onward. Actually, we're not going to do that, because there's something very, very important. Well, importance to point of view. But there is something I definitely would be remiss in not showing. Right here. Marissa.
Welcome to my stage, little one. I am Marissa, a songstress of some renown. Though given the sorry state of this place, you may find it hard to believe. Huge crowds once flocked to hear me sing. Then something changed. The audience, once so enwrapped, began to leave. I continued to sing, yet my voice fell silent upon their ears. Perhaps you'd care to listen to me sing. You'll be the first in an age to hear it.
Marissa is the reason I don't dream nail spirits. Hitting her with a dream nail, the silence that follows is deafening. And I cannot bear it. I've been going back and forth on all the lore implications, all the different reasons why one may or may not want to be dream nailed as a spirit, all the different contrasting viewpoints we've seen, but really, it's just down to the fact that I love Marissa's singing voice. And I don't think anyone doesn't. So all the way up here at the top of this elevator shaft that we broke into, we find, oh goodness, more things. Some bellflies, and a dead end for the moment. I wanted to draw attention to this place because we don't have a map of this area, and I will go ahead and let you guys know it is the only map we are missing. So today is going to be all about finding the proper way into that area. And wow, nice. Oh no, there's spikes there too. Oh no, there's not. Okay. that was an awesome drop though. Before we leave the city, just as long as we're in the neighborhood, I want to head over here to the Memorial of the Hollow Knight, because Lem has wandered out of his little relic shop and happened upon the fountain. Oh? What are you doing in this miserable downpour? Impressive fountain, isn't it? I'm sure we'd be able to appreciate it more if we weren't both getting drenched. That night up there was an important one. The plaque here mentions its sacrifice, which carries something of an ominous tone. Probably met some sort of horrible end, though it sounds like the knight's goals may have been achieved in the process. In all the relics I've collected, I have yet to find a clue as to what that was.
Who were you, Mystery Knight? Why no mention beyond your fountain?
I'll be getting back to the shop soon. If I stay out here too long, I'll get washed into the waterways. Come and visit if you like, if you have relics, I mean. I'm not much for chatter. Well, I beg to differ. I guess you're only much for chatter if I do have relics. And relics I have. How'd you get up here so fast? So while we're here, why don't we go ahead and turn these in? I have so many of these now. Once I get around to deciphering them, I'll be the preeminent scholar on Hallownest's stead. It's quite incredible how many of these you've collected. You must have traveled the breadth of the kingdom to accrue such a haul. Words are hard. And that is the exhausted dialogue of Wanderer's Journal. We certainly have peeked our head into every little corner to find so many. We already got the Hallownest seal dialogue as well. But he hasn't run out of geo, so we're going to keep handing him on over. We do have another king's idol to toss to his way, though. A king's idol. With as many of these as you've delivered, the other relic seekers are like to think I've gone mad for the king. Pah, who am I kidding? They'll only be jealous of my collection. Find me more. And now, The crown jewel of our relic collection, we did find one arcane egg through our travels. Seems like a simple egg, but it's actually a precious relic from before the birth of Hallownest. I'll pay you a small fortune for it. An arcane egg, eh? Now this is an ancient thing. These relics are the prize of my profession. There's knowledge hidden within, though it's very difficult, painstaking work to extract. One large understanding can be gleaned, though. This civilization may claim itself the first, but something else did exist within this place before Hallownest. Each egg offers a narrow glimpse into that forgotten age. I don't believe we've ever dream-nailed you up here.
This short one's got an odd look about it, though vaguely familiar.
To be familiar to a historian is never a good sign, I should say. So we're going to venture off now to the hidden station, the one by the palace grounds. You may recall that when we turned in our reward for getting 1800 essence, we awakened the dream nail and enabled ourselves to pierce even shielded dreams. And this fellow had one such dream. We find ourselves on the exact same bridge, only in much better shape now. And there, in all its glory, is the palace behind us. And here is probably the same fellow who we fought. This is called a King's Mold, and he is a very powerful enemy, capable of dealing 2 damage. Throwing his little scythe at us, as well as slashing back and forth, but not terribly difficult, all things considered. But he dissolves in a very eerie manner once we take him down. Can't go over to the station here. It's not really a good time for us to explore further, though. I did want to draw attention to the fact that this was here. I didn't just want to walk past the Shielded Dream after getting the upgrade necessary to get there. But we will have to explore whatever this mystery palace is at a later time. In the meantime, we're going to head back up to the top of the ancient basin and call the tram. And at long last, we are going to head to the right. How ominous can I make that One Direction sound? To the right. Let us go to the right. Go ahead and sit on the bench just 'cause. And once again, we see that we do not have a map for this area. No secrets hide themselves off to that side, so let's just venture out. Another area teeming with some very treacherous bugs, and a bee, and a breakable wall. Kind of didn't show off well that this was a breakable wall. I didn't actually know you could break walls with spells. That was kind of weird, but this is our objective right here. Welcome to the Hive. And I have to say, before going in, I have a fear of bees. Not necessarily bumblebees, but definitely wasps. I had a rather traumatic experience as a child where a bee stung me. Oh my goodness. I told you words are hard. Where a bee stung me directly in my ear. It's, like, not fair, really. And to this day, that is one of the most painful experiences I can remember. And so ever since then, the yellow and black pattern of a bee has always caused me some undue panic. I've gotten better at being okay being around bumblebees, but when it comes to wasps, not my friends. And speaking of, Team Cherry really knows how to design a stinger. My least favorite enemy in the game design-wise. just because it very effectively captures that whole that's a stinger feeling. A bench frozen up in honey. Map updated, even though we don't have the map yet. You know. So we're going to be exploring a little bit blind here. Because I doubt Cornifer, even in all his bravery, ventured into a entire beehive. These guys are not very friendly. But I do want to draw attention to just how many different societies there are here in... Ow, rude. In Hallownest. And I want to check my charms. Am I satisfied with what we're going forward? I am. I do have fragile strength. That might end up being a bit overkill for what we want to do. Yeah, I'm going to change that. Be right back. Alright, this is what my loadout's looking like. Fragile Heart, Grub Song, and Soul Catcher. I am going to want to do a fair bit of healing in here. I can already tell. So we're going to be prepared to just gain a lot more soul. I no longer one-shot the bees, but I can contend with that. Already got the entry. Let's see what they say. We've got the Hivelings, weak but hard-working and numerous. Their hairy little bodies are filled with a thick, sweet, golden liquid. Good to keep a few on you for long hunts. I can't imagine keeping live bees just like in your pocket for honey. I don't imagine that goes well, but he's the hunter. He's got the experience. Starting off, we have got a lovely dream root. Our goal of 2400 essence is well within our path. And they are going to start throwing a lot of these wasps at us. Actually, I think they were called, what? Hive soldiers? Hive soldiers. Soldier bees. No worries. Just gotta grab a couple more dream essence. Don't mind me. I think that's all. Oh, that was cool. Very rarely actually get to see the whispering root transform into its fully grown form. And even though it was pretty faded, still looked very cool. And again, Team Cherry is just fantastic at world design. The sheer creative design they've done here, making the hive. Obviously, you have the hexagon motif, perhaps a little bit on the nose, but nonetheless effective. I love how they made the honey look like glass. It just makes it seem like, whoa! Well, hello. The big bees. I don't know what they're properly called, but they will always be the big bees. Do 2 damage and charge at us and bounce all around in pretty volatile ways. Away with you. Okay, those things. Hive Guardians. Hurl their huge bodies at intruders. They're a lot cuter than the Hive soldiers. But that doesn't give them a pass because they are one of the most dangerous enemies in this game. For sure. Heavy on HP. They're very, very fast after they start bouncing around, and they can be a little bit difficult to predict the way they bounce from wall to wall. Now over here, we find an alternative entrance to the hive that we have just opened up. Pretty nice, but we are just going to dive right back in. No time to worry about what's outside it. Back here in this main chamber. Now we see that platform was sort of crumbly, and when the big bee hit it, it crumbled away entirely. They are capable of affecting the environment here, which makes them all the more threatening. It can reduce our options as well as our cover. And oh gosh, jeez, glad you didn't bounce again. I kind of wish I did keep fragile strength on. Probably would have helped. Get away! Creepy things. So this area isn't huge. The hive is not among the larger areas in the game, but it stresses me out. Not so much now that I kind of know what's going on. We get nothing over here but Geo Instead, we see that there's another entrance to the hive from up above. We'll have to keep that in mind and explore whatever's over there at another time. But yeah, especially my first time through here, the entire time I was going through, I just felt in danger. Just in pure, unbridled danger. Please no, thank you. Lots of money, though. We are over 20,000, largely thanks to Lem and his limitless coffers. This is a pretty good place to use our Howling Wraiths spell, since all of the enemies around here are flightful ones. It does do a ton of damage, although I kind of want to save my spell for actually healing. But that's where Grub's Song comes into play. We are never too short. Okay, let's see. Now, our next spot we want to be... Low effort puns. We want a Crystal Dash here, stop in midair, and double jump. Not quite like that. A little higher, I think. Crystal Dash here, stop in midair, double jump, and hop on up. And we'll find one of the most difficult to find grubs in the entire game. Hey, buddy. Get on back to Dad. And that is a really cool little sequence that they have you do. Crystal Dash into double jump. I haven't drawn attention to the fact it is very easy to cancel the Crystal Dash. Get yourself in position to stop yourself from slamming into things. But that's the first time that they actually have us do it from a platforming perspective, which is pretty cool. Now we have a crumbly wall right over here with a mask shard behind it. And we have a big bee. Oh gosh, okay. Right here. And I want his help. Come over here, buddy. No, a little better than that. This is a really small little crumbly wall. I just need some precision from you. No. Oh, hey, yeah, nailed it. Just like that. Alright, service has been completed. We get another mask shard. That's the last one we're going to be getting for a little while, unfortunately. But that is also very helpful because it unlocks a shortcut back into the first big chamber that we found. I guess the second one, because the first one had the dream. Anyway, it's really nice to get that shortcut back to the bench. Can heal up if you need, or if you die, you get back faster. Of course, assuming you're not on Steel Soul mode, which I hope you're not, because it's a lot of undue stress on top of everything that I'm already feeling about the Hive. Now, get out of here. Things! How did you not die from that? Oh, hey, we got the... Oh, hey, we actually got a King's Mold entry. Guard Construct of Hallownest Palace. And Skilled Wielder of the Curved Claw Blade. Its heavy white armor protects a fragile body. Interesting, but I want the... this guy. Savage and dedicated warriors. Be prepared to fight them to the death if you plan on invading their home. I wonder if the hunter has had experience invading the home of the bees. Probably, obviously, he's fought these guys. There we go. Get all that stuff out of our way. And we are coming up on the end here. Just a few more honey walls. And we find a huge bee. Even bigger than the big bees. Not sure exactly what his story is. At least he seems friendly. Or at least non-aggressive. Away. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way the Hive Knight should be able to fly. Its wings are, Huh. He doesn't have wings. Hive Knight! They were gonna call him Hornet, but that name was trademarked or something. It's funny, he sure does feel like Hornet, and not just for the obvious reasons. This is another instance of a boss with variable health based on our nail upgrades. There's not much more to say about him without getting into his attacks though, so let's do just that. Starting with the Lunge! The Hidden Stinger. The Leap! The Honey Burst. And the Swarm. The lunge is much of what we've come to expect from just about any boss who wields a weapon. This kind of straightforward dash should be second nature to you by this point. Jump as soon as you see his wind-up animation, and then pogo off his head to keep the damage up. The hidden stinger makes the Hive Knight stand apart from a lot of bosses, as most who are capable of teleporting will use teleportation as their primary means of movement. But for this bumbly boy, it's more of a mix-up. It's not too threatening though, as from the moment he disappears, you already know exactly what attack he's about to use, and can jump overhead just like the lunge with time to spare. This attack will, however, always begin at the same height as the knight, and it can be just a bit tougher to avoid if it starts up in the air. Dashing away or underneath are both viable options, but the main defense against this is to try and avoid jumping if you're between attacks. The leap is a jump like any other, used both to move about and to target the knight directly. This one feels a little slower than some of the others we've had to deal with, but you know the drill here. Dash beneath, not away from. He'll start using the Honey Burst once he gets down to 780 HP, and this is up there with the Broken Vessel's Outbreak as one of the scariest looking attacks to dodge that we've yet seen. Not helped at all by the fact that the Hive Knight will take action shortly after they start bursting. There are a couple tricks that can make it much more manageable though. First of all, notice how they never spawn at ground level. That means as long as you don't jump, all 15 of the spikes facing horizontal or higher aren't things you need to worry about. Secondly, the order that they burst in is set, not random. It will always start with whichever one is lowest and go in order from lowest to highest. That means the only one you need to be paying attention to immediately is the bottom one. I recommend hanging out inside this triangle here while figuring out where the other spikes are going to go. Thirdly, the attack he does immediately following this up is fixed. Pay attention and you'll see that it's always the leap. Never the dash, never hidden stinger. This is another thing that makes the ground relatively safe, and you may even be able to heal off a sneaky mask if you find a good spot. Finally, don't forget about your ground pound spell. If it feels like too much, just hide behind some invincibility frames to give yourself some breathing room. Inconsequentially, it is possible to hit the spike clusters in order to move them around before they burst, but honestly, you want to be as far away from them as you can get, so I wouldn't mess with this. Finally, the Swarm is also a superimposing attack with tons of projectiles, which he'll add to his lineup at 550 HP. After releasing the Hivelings into the air, they'll begin descending from the top of the screen, one at a time, for a total of 7. They all lightly home in on the knight, and though they can be hit for soul, they can only be destroyed with spells, which doesn't help us too much right now. Like Honeyburst, it can feel overwhelming to try focusing on the descending bees and the Hive Knight, but once again, put those pattern recognition skills into practice, and you'll notice that he always follows up the Swarm with a lunge, and he always follows that up with a leap. That means that if you start dodging this attack in the air, you don't even need to pay attention to the Hive Knight. Of course, you can always use your ground pound on this attack too, especially since the long windup is a great opportunity to build up some soul. The windup of this attack also serves as a decent opportunity for you to heal if you need. That felt like quite a lot with those last 2 attacks, but we made it through. On to the game plan. We've got another one that calls for constant offense. Since he doesn't have any means of walking or running along the ground, every method he can use to move towards us is heavily telegraphed. So you're free to stay in his face and wail on him. His windups for the lunge and the hidden stinger are extremely distinct, so just jump whenever you see either, and that'll take you right through to the point where he starts using Honey Burst and Swarm. Those 2 attacks will necessitate you let up in favor of dodging, but jump right back in as soon as you're clear. The Hive Knight can also be staggered. Normally this would be a great time to heal, but due to the large windups of Honey Burst and Swarm, you'll almost certainly stagger him right when he uses those attacks. He'll go down, but the spike clusters or hivelings that he summoned will remain as they usually would. So healing may not be an option. I do recommend using this time to dodge without hitting him out of his stagger though, as it's just one less thing to worry about. Now, here at the end, what painstakingly obvious joke should I make? Make him buzz off? Be confident? Keep pulling through? Enough of me droning on. Let's just do this. The Hive Knight is the best example of like video game gaslighting that I've ever experienced. A very, very strange thing. This boss was added in the game's major Lifeblood DLC expansion. And it's kind of strange, because I told you I was very stressed going through here on my very first playthrough. And when I got to the end, I was surprised. There was no boss fight, there's nothing really to worry about. You just kind of get through, you get the reward that we're fighting this guy for, and you leave. And as much as I didn't like feeling stressed out about the area, it did feel awfully anticlimactic to come this far through this treacherous looking of an area and not have a really major challenge at the end of it. But so it was. He didn't even use his big swarm attack. That's weird. Poor guy. Nothing else to offer. But, so I got through here, I got the reward, and I left, and I remember very distinctly feeling a bit of an anticlimax. When I came through here on my second playthrough... Ooh, wow. See the bottom of that big bee back there. And there was a boss here. I was so confused. I thought I had gone mad. It was like, there's no way I forgot this entire boss fight that whooped me up and down the hive. But no, it was just some DLC. Get back to him and we find a spirit overlooking him.
The Hive Queen Vespa. My knight, at last you are freed. Small thing, I know you're kind. If you attempt to resolve your past, then know I am not the queen you seek. It is the pale beings that bear blame for your nature. Though this hive exists within Hallownest, we play no part in its attempt at perpetuation.
It's possible the giant one was the king, and that small one, Vespa, the queen. Interesting indeed. Back up at that second entrance to the hive we found. We're going to explore the exterior of it now. We took down a boofly, large docile creature that peacefully buzzes around the caverns of the kingdom's edge. Apparently we need to take out 20 of them in total to get their entry. Hopefully there's more where they came from. If we drop right down here, we will find the first entrance that we found. And I am going to, real fast, head back to the tram to switch my charms around, because I really want to equip the one we just found, Hive Blood. Hive Blood is a really cool charm, a bit expensive for its effect, but in my opinion, pretty well worth it. This, wow, these guys don't hurt? They do hurt? That's, what? Okay, anyway, so it changes our HP, as you see up there, to those honey crystals. When we take damage, it turns into a little glob of honey that steadily regenerates over the course of several seconds. And if we don't get hit again, well, if we do get hit again, unfortunately that blob disappears entirely. But if we don't get hit again, then the blob is given all the time it needs to get our health back without needing to waste a single soul on doing it. And I love this for exploration because I take a lot of really just kind of dumb hits while I'm running around. And having to stop and focus that off just so that I can satisfy my OCD of being at full health really is a pace killer. I will fully admit that. But now we have it completely free to us. And we are going to use it liberally while exploring around just to make sure we save a nice bit of time. Now, over here, we actually start to see some plants that may look familiar to you, if you have a really solid memory. These plants were the same that covered Isma's Grove. And if we explore all the way upwards, we find a spot that actually coincides with that area. First things first, this crystal dash calls upon us to go all the way across, but if instead we jump upwards, we'll find another grub. A delightful fellow, indeed, and always. Now, let's burst across this way and see what's waiting for us. All the way across, and a little further down, we'll find a breakable wall, one-sided, that we have been on the other side of once before. We are right over here. And if we take this doorway, we will find ourselves once again back in the home of Emilicia the Eternal. In times past, I wouldn't have spoken with your likes, but now the rest of my cast are wonderfully distantly deceased. If I didn't welcome you, I'd never have anyone to share my happiness with. Well, now that we have pretty effectively come full circle, I am going to go ahead and call it there, because we got through the entire hive while we were down there. In the next episode, hopefully we'll find the map. In the meantime, if you guys dare to like this video, well, just know I'm going to trap you in a hive filled to the brim with absolutely terrifying bees. And then you will suffer as I have suffered. See you guys next time.